I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We're both in skull and bone, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I'm a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Already Dead with myself, Austin Picard from the Underclass Podcast. And obviously, Jose is out tonight. He had a family emergency last minute, but hopefully all is well. So now we are joined by our brother, Jacob, obviously, host of Rise to Liberty, and the producer from Already Dead. So first of all, bro, I have to start by saying we can all just relax and move on because obviously the FBI has officially solved the Epstein case, it looks like. And I think they concluded that Jeffrey Epstein was not running a sex trafficking ring for powerful men. And that in itself, or for blackmail, as far as that's concerned, which I thought was also really important. But yeah, just that in itself, man, what the hell are we even dealing with? And I have to collect your thoughts, first of all, just as far as the current environment and the strange packaging and presentation that seems so propagandistic in nature. But yeah, anyway, what's up, brother?
Yeah, man. It seems cool that we can just move on and, get to more important things like, well, I guess we can move on from Charlie Kirk too. We don't got to worry about nothing anymore, man. We can just move on and worry about the midterms because Republicans are going to save us, Man, the memory hole is alive and well. That is for damn sure. Right. And I saw Namrock post a meme. It was SpongeBob in a Make America Great Again hat. And it really kind of just pointed out the juxtaposition of really the interpretation of the files themselves and kind of this strange duality of the FBI. On one hand, right, the FBI has concluded that Epstein wasn't running a sex trafficking ring. And on the other, the files are now proving that Trump blew the whistle on Epstein's sex trafficking ring, which is just so hilarious to me, right? And yeah, I don't know that as far as I'm concerned, if that is your takeaway in this moment, talk about cope, right? And ideologically imprisoned cope at that, and especially just the nature of the level of subversion that's playing out in the current moment. It's a little bit too hard to not acknowledge, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought that meme specifically was almost a perfect example of what we're witnessing at this very, very moment in time. But anyway, I don't know. I also saw the Daily Mail basically reported that 330 gallons of sulfuric acid was apparently purchased for Epstein Island on the day that
Oh,
yeah, on the day
no
the
shit.
FBI opened the investigation into the pedophiles trafficking charges. And
No
this is
shit.
according
When did you
to
see that?
this was like 14 hours ago, the Daily Mail UK posted
Oh,
this
damn.
report. Mhm.
Dude, you got to send me that. That's
No.
fucking wild.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
I know.
Bunch of sulfuric acid for no reason?
Yeah, what were they doing with that sulfuric acid? I would like to know, obviously, and
No shit.
I
That's
think,
a lot of sulfuric acid.
mhm. I just instantly thought of the Finder's Warehouse and all of these unmarked
Right.
vans pulling up as the case was breaking and going public, and they were clearly just piling out boxes in the vans and, effectively destroying or moving the evidence, in the perfect window and opportunity that they were provided, but they were tipped off, which I think in many
Right.
ways we can point to that FBI evidence warehouse burning down suspiciously that I heard. I mean, and obviously the rumor was housing the Anthony Weiner sex tapes and like all this strange stuff, right?
Right.
And including more Epstein evidence, and that of course was conveniently memory hold just so quickly.
Of course it was.
Yeah, but as always, and as you pointed out, we're moving on from that. And as Leavitt had to apparently say during her little White House press conference presentation, which was absolutely ridiculous. But watch this, dude. I thought that it was at least hilarious in terms of just how easily they can kind of cover these things up and misdirect the public, even in this sloppy manner, right? Where it's in no way impressive. It's so very unimpressive is the point, right? And
Right.
yet nothing will come of this. And that was essentially what I was pointing out last week is are we really going to achieve any sense of accountability in terms of justice for the victims and their families as far as the Epstein network is concerned if there wasn't even a sex trafficking ring of powerful men and prominent men who were being blackmailed for that very
Right.
purpose? And yeah, laughable. But let's listen to the strange damage control for the Trump administration, which this will lead us into, because there's this ABC coverage, which I thought was very interesting, especially with Ghislaine pleading the fifth and refusing to talk and basically demanding to essentially receive some sort of significant clemency that Trump would have to provide, obviously. And I think that's where the blackmail comes into play. And just the handling of the current administration in this moment has been very interesting.
And that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that. Reagan.
We're moving on from that.
Oh,
Jacob.
interesting. John Black in the private chat said that she was not wearing her cross.
I know. I saw that just now. That's crazy.
Weird.
Huh? Very weird. Mhm. I think a little suspicious, let's say. And
Right.
there was another point to that, and it was apparently this newly unsealed court document that reveals in 2006, Donald Trump called the Palm Beach police chief about Jeffrey Epstein, referring to Ghislaine. He even referred to Ghislaine Maxwell as, quote, evil, and Epstein's, quote, operative. Which it's like this is what people are using to cope with the
Right.
level of implication surrounding Trump and his involvement with Epstein. And it's just yeah, it's too much to turn a blind eye at this point. And if you are ideologically captured, and you really have
I
no
agree.
yeah, I mean, what can we do with that in terms of bringing you back to just even ground zero, and and where you can start to peel back the layers of ideological deception playing into this? It's almost.
I mean, apparently Trump hated Epstein, and
Yeah.
blocked him from Mar-a-Lago, and you
That's
know,
the narrative.
like, they weren't friends, man. And Trump had no idea what was going on, and that's such a load of bullshit too, because I mean, Trump's first wife and Ghislaine were actually getting women together, women and girls. So, I mean, they were literally scavenging to get girls, and it's like you're telling
hunting
me
for nubiles is what they would call it.
right.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me that Trump's first wife, right, is doing some business with Ghislaine, and Trump has no idea about it? Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
like who is really legitimately falling for this stuff? I mean, well, I guess people that still think that, you know, like General Flynn is one of the good guys, you know? People like
and
that.
what was that attorney, that female attorney who was going to stop the steal? And
the crazy one.
She was psychotic. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember her name.
A reflection of the clown world that the prominent figures in DC politics.
And she was the one talking about the Anthony Weiner laptop initially. She's the one that kind of got that story. And I personally, I think Powell. What's her first name?
Powell. Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell. Yep. That's it.
I think she was like meant to like kookify everything, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. And she did a damn good job at that, honestly. She was very efficient.
But she's just not crazy enough that she could like be believable to the people that still, you know, get on their knees for Trump.
Right.
But just crazy enough too for anyone that's not on their knees for Trump. Like, so she's just perfect for that, honestly.
Absolutely. And also I was thinking about how essentially you have this strange occurrence where, well, reoccurrence really, it's these usual mouthpieces, right, of the permanent establishment that's and pedophile occupied government, to be specific, who, and say no to POG on, you know, to that point. But anyway, they're very interested in re-debunking Pizzagate. Right. And
re-debunking
Pizzagate. So you have Jon Stewart and who's the other one? The one whose show was recently canceled. Was
Trevor
Colbert?
Noah?
Colbert. Yeah, Colbert. Yeah.
They're all the fucking same.
Yeah, same, exactly. And but still, just to witness this re-debunking and what they did obviously was. I think it was Colbert tied. They basically tied the conspiracy theory to Mike Flynn, to General Mike Flynn as well, and
really,
at least in one of the ridiculous debunkings, and so that I always, just as far as like, you know, Colbert is so clearly an establishment mouthpiece and intended to an industry plant at that. Obviously,
did you see the Bill Maher comment he made about apologizing to Q?
Yes, Sam talked about that last night on the show, actually, and I didn't see that until he pointed that out. But yeah,
it's fucking wild, dude. And like, what is that even supposed to mean? Like, I'm not even quite sure what he means by that, but like,
good question, buddy.
Dude, we just live in wild times.
Yes, we do.
Wild times.
And it's incessant. It's never ending. It's this and by the way, the FBI reportedly accidentally deleted the Epstein suicide tapes after a hard drive mix-up. It was an accident, Jacob. Don't question that or turn, give a side eye in terms of speculation there, because it even though it does seem that they knowingly wiped the footage, if you look at some of the documents, the details within the documents, I mean, they straight up, I think it was Mel on Twitter, Village Crazy Lady or something, I think is her handle. But I saw her post 2 FBI investigative documents on Twitter, and basically they were highlighting this ridiculous notion that they were knowingly deleting the evidence. And how how often has that happened? I mean, we can point to so many different examples of that taking place, so not at all surprising. But as far as this new damage control narrative, considering Trump and the current administration, I thought it was interesting, especially because this ABC News report even mentions Ghislaine and alludes to Howard Lutnick as well, which I find he's receiving some interesting pushback. Hopefully he actually does resign. Obviously he's what's Secretary of Commerce, I think is what he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we have legitimate evidence that Lutnick and Epstein were in business together, you know, and beyond the fact that he's like offering up 8 children at some strange dinner that he's supposed to have on the island with Jeffrey and his family. But yeah, we can get into that as well, as far as like he actually discusses at one point how him and his wife, this is such a ridiculous narrative and again, false narrative, which is attempting to really remove himself and distance himself from these allegations, I think, and his proximity to Epstein. And yeah, he effectively presents this just retarded narrative where he and his wife are ethically disturbed by his massage chair in the middle of his room and all of these strange things that he was saying. And so they left right then and there and refused to ever come back into contact or be in a room with this man. But anyway, I just once more, damage control, right, for the elites who are essentially saving face in this very moment and awaiting the next major media spotlight in order to essentially pivot from this receiving such major coverage. But yeah, let's watch this ridiculous ABC footage.
This morning, a new document coming to light claims in the mid-2000s, President Trump called police about Jeffrey Epstein. Among the 3 million Epstein files released by the Department of Justice last month is a 4-page FBI report on an interview the Bureau conducted in 2019 with the man believed to be former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder. Ryder and his detectives began investigating Epstein for human trafficking in 2004. According to the document, Trump called Ryder around that time and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Ryder also says Trump said he threw Epstein out of his club, and he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there.
Got the hell out of there, Jacob. He didn't orally rape that 13-year-old girl. Those are false allegations.
Right.
Unsubstantiated.
I mean, I believe it.
To focus on Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, saying she is evil.
Did you have any suspicions that he was molesting young women, underage women?
I had no idea.
Trump
Okay.
has long denied having any knowledge of Epstein's
Look at that
crime.
face, man. That right there looks like they're butt fucking. I mean, like, honestly, like, I'm just
giving them glances across the room, you know.
Yeah, exactly. This is some homosexual tension, let's just say.
But Ryder says Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out that they were investigating Epstein. Maxwell appeared from prison for a congressional deposition yesterday.
Man,
the convicted
she
Elaine's
like
losing her
shit.
figure, man.
I know. She looks like shit.
I know she's not looking so good.
child sex trafficker was grilled about Epstein's crimes.
Can you please provide us with all the names of other additional co-conspirators to the crimes perpetuated by you and Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
She invoked the Fifth Amendment after every question. Maxwell's lawyer says she is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. Meanwhile, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick faces bipartisan calls to resign over new revelations about his relationship with Epstein long after Epstein pleaded guilty to sex crimes. The Commerce Department saying Mr. and Mrs. Lutnick met Jeffrey Epstein in 2005 and had very limited interactions with him over the next 14 years. Overseas, King Charles is breaking his silence about his brother, former Prince Andrew, since the new revelations and the latest Epstein files release. King Charles now saying he is ready.
Did you see this, man? I mean, obviously, we mentioned it
after the drops happened, but still, it's just absolutely ridiculous to see some of the footage and some of the
It's like
additional
it's like
photographs,
what I was
obviously.
telling you, dude. I don't know what to say about some of this stuff. You
Mhm.
know, it's like I'm at a loss for words. Like
You should be if you
I'm
have
not
an ethical
shocked.
bone in your body,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not shocked because I knew they were doing this, right? Like we all knew.
Yeah.
But to see it is like a whole other thing. To see it
Exactly.
in the black and the white is just fucking crazy, dude. And this is like so something about myself. I'm one of these people, dude, I genuinely love telling people I told you so.
Yeah.
And this one, I didn't want to be right. You know, like
Yeah. Dude, I said exactly that to
I
Top,
feel
honestly,
so
and
bad. I feel so
mhm.
bad to like, but you know, I will still say it. It's just I didn't want to be right, but
Yeah.
we are, you know?
I wholeheartedly agree, my friend, and I will also say that there was a listener who commented on YouTube and said basically, really, this was something that was already kind of rattling around in my mind's eye, but at the same point, like he led me to more seriously consider just this additional layer of controlling the outcome in terms of these document dumps, right? And
Right.
basically, his theory was that the DOJ, because we had just discussed, obviously last week, the perpetrators that were redacted essentially in the files, right? And also how the victims themselves, who were previously unnamed and unidentified, were then obviously revealed and exposed through the latest and final Epstein files dump. And so that as well is cause for concern, just in terms of, okay, so you find the need to redact the names of the pedophilic perpetrators, but you won't protect the obvious victims who have the most
Right.
to lose in this case, in my opinion, and have lost the most, right, and have the most at stake
Right.
here. And that goes to show what was it? Les Wexner, obviously founder of Victoria's Secret, who gave
Yep.
the power of attorney to Epstein, and also what the Manhattan Mansion for like $1 or something was
Yep.
essentially what happened,
Yep.
and all of these redactions prior to the most recent revelation, which, by the way, based on what the defense attorneys were calling for, we've essentially had the establishment and the institutions take advantage of, because they were calling for the DOJ website to be removed due to the fact that they were overexposing and identifying the victims. And then they're also asking for the files themselves to be removed until they were redacted properly and then re-released. But do you think, as they consistently in this very moment remove those very documents, do you think they're not removing the documents they would wish to remove and keep from public
Right.
exposure as long as possible and potentially memory hole?
I
And
mean,
then
of course they were, because
exactly.
like, I mean, so one thing I thought was crazy was the revelation that Epstein met with Moot from 4chan, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
that the poll board was basically one gigantic psyop. And the reason I bring that up is because they were blatantly talking about on the poll board, because I mean, I was at one point pretty, you know, I would appear pretty frequently on there, just a lurker, not like I never posted, but I would get on there and people were openly talking about them, meaning, you know, the powers that be, taking certain documents and scrubbing them. So
Mhm.
if they're openly talking about it on poll, dude, I guarantee they're doing it. And plus, it
Exactly.
just makes sense. It just makes sense. And this whole thing is or has to be like a controlled demolition, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the building 7, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I think it's a well-designed limited hangout as well at a
Yep.
certain to a certain level, but but this is almost over. Let's finish this.
Epstein files release. King Charles now saying he is ready to support police as they look into a claim that Andrew shared confidential material with Epstein back when Andrew was a trade envoy. The palace saying the king has made clear in words and through unprecedented actions his profound concern at allegations which continue to come to light in respect to Mr. Mountbatten Windsor's conduct. Back in Washington, members of Congress were able to view unredacted versions of the Epstein files yesterday.
There were tons of completely unnecessary redactions in addition to the failure to redact the names of victims.
Interesting, right? Is that not what we were alluding to in the very context that we just illustrated? I mean, that's essentially what they were admitting to in this very clip, right?
Right.
Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna say the DOJ redacted several names of men they say should be revealed without redactions. Massie is threatening to read the names on the House floor, but says he'll give the Justice Department time to respond.
I think we need to give the DOJ a chance to go back through and correct their mistakes.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche accuses those lawmakers of grandstanding
as they start the shredders.
He says the DOJ is changing those redactions.
Paper shredders go burn.
Exactly, dude. And that's I think, who was it in the private chat just now? John. He just pointed out that, and I saw the clip of Broken Sim with Sam and Johnny, where they're talking about how Epstein still, apparently his Fortnite profile is still active.
Yep.
Even after his death, his Fortnite profile is still apparently actively playing video games at this moment and spending V-Bucks allegedly. So the digital currency in the video game. So it's like, man, cause for question is at the very least. You know,
well, and check this out. So I believe it was Asmongold that found his profile. I could be wrong about that. It honestly doesn't matter. But whoever did find it, as soon as they were talking about it on a stream, and as soon as that happened, they went back and checked it, and it went private.
Oh my God, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not at all shocked by that, but holy shit at the same time. You know, like that's just so crazy.
That's how active the profile is. So it's not just slightly active. No, it's super active, and somebody's like watching the net for talks about it. I mean, it was just like when Ghislaine was doing something before she got moved to Texas, or she got moved to Texas, and then all of a sudden her Reddit profile is active again.
Hilarious.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And her Reddit profile is like it has like the most karma points out of anyone else on Twitter. So she's like top dog still, you know?
Interesting. So all that reminds me of is that strange Pizzagate context from the anonymous tip that was given to the FBI. What was it, 2020? I think it was that we covered last week with I think it was during the Pizzagate fallout. Right, is when it happened, and basically it was Ghislaine's Reddit profile was very alive and active, and following up on certain individuals who were reporting various ties and evidence to the legitimate network involved with Comet Ping Pong Pizza and things of that nature. So, considering Epstein's interest in the post Haiti earthquake disaster relief. It should definitely just raise some eyebrows as far as what were they doing. I would effectively consider the notion that obviously they're seeking an opportunity to take advantage of just a natural disaster occurring, any sort of disaster or failed state or situation where there's a high impact event that's taken place, and you have some sort of society that's experiencing some domestic unrest, that it provides opportunities and avenues for perpetrators who hope to obviously procure more children. And once you have no protectors because of some major disaster, and those parents have been deceased or whatever the case may be, maybe they're just separated, and
you know, that remains permanent because of the aims of the network, is still very much worth considering the idea that this is obviously nothing new, as much as we've seen these strange disaster relief organizations that are very eerily similar to that of the child care services and organizations as well. Yeah, it's just a perfect avenue for that very sinister outcome. But all of this seems to, at the very least, tie in to the Daily Mail's report on the fake body trick that was played, as far as this strange Epstein, Tim McVeigh style body double decoy, which I thought was hilarious. And if you look at the actual report, it is interesting, right? Like this is very strange, and it seems like you had basically jail guards overseeing Epstein used a decoy body to mislead reporters gathered outside the prison after his death, while his real corpse was secretly removed in a separate vehicle. Newly unsealed files claim. So this is according to an internal memo. A jail supervisor told FBI agents that staff at Manhattan's Metropolitan Correctional Center staged the ruse amid an intense media presence following Epstein's apparent suicide in 2019. The files alleged that boxes and sheets were arranged to resemble a human body and loaded into a white van marked as belonging to the office of the chief medical examiner. Now, this apparently prompted reporters to follow it as it drove away. Unbeknownst to the media, Epstein's actual body was instead placed into a black vehicle that left the facility unnoticed, allowing officers to transport the corpse privately. So, yeah, no red flags there. The alleged deception was only carried out after an official warned guards about the large number of journalists gathered outside the jail and said he would arrive at the loading dock with a separate black vehicle to remove the body. So, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, chat, keep your head on a swivel, because I've been strangely gang stalked by some weird glowies recently. So, you know, nothing crazy, but worth mentioning, because it definitely seems like it's a little more prevalent than ever before. But anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, real quick, I just want to let everyone know that the lines are open. So feel free to call in 1-833-722-DEAD or 722-3323. So first come, first serve. Space is limited, so call in. But one thing, I'm not sure if you saw it. I've been trying to find this video again, but there was a video of like where the guard station was in relation to like where Epstein's cell was. And dude, I didn't realize like exactly how close it was, but it's like you could literally reach out and touch his cell almost. Like it was just right fucking there. Like,
interesting.
The way it had always been described, I always thought that they were like watching his cell door from like a monitor or something. No, it was literally right there. Like you would have, like, dude, you could spit on somebody. It was so close. Weird. And so the story, if everyone remembers, is that the guard fell asleep, right?
Right.
So it's like, even if that were the case, then I mean the guard fell asleep where they would have heard everything. They would have heard or seen everything. Like, even though those are still doors, I mean, in that quiet of a place, plus with all the reverberation and everything, you would have heard something inside the cell. Like,
no kidding, man.
There's just no way. And like I said, it was just like so close, kitty corner, maybe 15 feet, if that.
My God, man.
Right.
Yeah,
like
that
just right.
None of it adds up. It's the most laughable story at face value, and they attempt to
100%.
expect us to embrace this without questioning.
It's absurd. But I mean, at the very same time as they're protecting and redacting the name of Les Wexner, as we just mentioned, who's one of the most obvious, just as far as co-conspirators involved in the network. And
one thing I want to know, sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're good, man.
what do you think, like, why do you think he like signed everything over to Epstein and like why? Because
he's a vulnerable old man being preyed upon by a brilliant genius, right? That's what we're supposed to believe.
Yeah, Epstein was just taking advantage of the poor old dirty man.
Right. And in reality, I think there's no better time than now to remind everyone, obviously, that Les Wexner has an inner demon. He publicly admitted to being possessed, if you remember. Right? Yeah. And that in itself, I mean, my God, brother, I think it was a Whitney Webb article from Unlimited Hangout that we covered, I don't know, months back in regard to this story when it became more relevant and was being reported on. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. Like, it was New York Mag that did an article on really kind of giving Les Wexner this crazy public persona within what was described as an effort to rebrand himself. And essentially it involved fawning media profiles that were all just generated by the Mockingbird media, right? And so the New York Mag ran one of these media profiles, and this was in August of 1985, and it was entitled "The Bachelor Billionaire on Pins and Needles with Leslie Wexner." And it says that it opens up and says, "On the morning Leslie Wexner became a billionaire, he woke up worried, but this was not unusual. He always wakes up worried because of his Dybbuk. I don't know how you pronounce it. Dybbuk.
I'd say
Dybbuk, yeah, which pokes and prods and gives him the itchiness of the soul that he calls sfilks, pins in Yiddish.
Ooh.
So sometimes
the very fact that it was Yiddish to begin with is, I think speaks volumes.
Problematic. It's very problematic. Sometimes he runs away from it on the roads of Columbus, or drives away from it on one of his Porsches, or flies from it in one of his planes, but then it is back with his first coffee, his first meeting, nudging at him. So
get the fuck out of here. And it's like he's given it this whole like personality and everything, dude. That's well, and check this out. I mean, within all fairness, it might even be an alter.
Yeah, totally could be.
Like,
honestly,
he could be a mind control victim himself. And hell, he could have even done it to himself, or like he would have had somebody do it to him. But you know, he could have requested that for all we know.
No doubt. And apparently the interpretation of schvilks or schvilkies, I don't know exactly. It literally means pins or spikes in Yiddish, and is usually described as nervous energy, impatience, or anxiety. So yeah, he's apparently attempting to personify his anxiety in a way. And this was the term that he first utilized, but then he has another additional reference point and description for it. And but yeah, apparently Wexner's Dybbuk was described as the demon that always wakes up in the morning with Wexner and tweaks and pulls at him. He apparently is very obsessed with his Jewish identity as well. So that's definitely involved here. But
no,
yeah, but yeah. So the book was apparently tied. It states that Wexner has been with the Dybbuk since he was a boy, and that his father had recognized it and referred to it as the churning.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So per Wexner, the Dybbuk causes him to feel molten and constantly pricked by spiritual pins and needles. It apparently left him as a young man at some point, only to return in 1977 specifically, when he was 40 years old.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Huh.
It's apparently came back to him when in some ill-fated trip up a mountain near his vacation home in Vail, Colorado.
What? What the
Mhm.
fuck?
Right?
What was
But
he doing, like, mushrooms out there and, like, had it come back to him or something? Like, what?
good
I don't
question.
know, dude. These
I'm telling you,
people are
man.
just fucked. They're fucked. Okay?
Right. Yeah, it is at least worth mentioning that he believes the Dybbuk is integral and part of his genius, and that's how he described it. It makes him
Shy in the background said the Babadook.
that's hilarious. And he told New York Magazine that it makes him wander from house to house, wanting more and more, and swallowing companies larger than his own. So, yeah, this is
Wow.
obviously a reflection of his obsession for accumulating money and power. I think is the point in a way, but yeah, it seems like he is without a doubt possessed by some form of demon, and all this reminds me
Right.
of is if you remember last week, I privately mentioned after the show how much because I've been told my entire life that I need to go and watch Twin Peaks, and that you know, David Lynch is a brilliant genius and write all of this. Where I will say many of the plot points I appreciate and I think apply very well to a lot of the cases we cover. The execution of the performances individually involved in in the show itself left a lot to be desired. Is I guess the
Have
nice
you
way to
started
put it.
watching it?
Yeah, I finished it. But I
Oh,
will
nice.
say the very end, I absolutely loved the ending. I think
Yep.
it's fascinating, and the concept alone is extraordinarily valuable in terms of pop
It is
culture
great,
reference.
isn't it?
And I was just thinking about the notion of his possession, this
Oh, yeah.
demon, the Dybbuk, and all of that I thought was the Black Lodge. And obviously, Bob is
Right.
the worst name you could ever associate
Yep.
to the demon that is obviously responsible for the darkness and the most
Right.
sinister abuse and evil that takes place in the woods of Twin Peaks or Ghost Woods or whatever. It's just I think something that just as far as the layered symbolism and everything else that it was attempting to reveal, yeah, it should be more of a priority, I think, in the just as far as attempting to present things in that very effective and creative way in a
Right.
pop culture reference point. But yeah, so he was possessed by Bob from Twin Peaks, and that's clearly what's wrong with Les Wexner. But no, I just thought that if you think about just as far as the strange satanic panic narrative that they're attempting to associate with obviously the Epstein files, I think that is by design, right? And this is
Oh, yeah.
something where I think I described it as the Epstein themed satanic panic 2.0, just another example of unjustified moral hysteria, or even worse, those meddling Pizzagate conspiracy theorists, which I felt like
Damn
is
them.
the best way to describe it because as I was kind of alluding to you in the privately, just as far as I'm honestly starting to consider that the notion that they intentionally focused on more of the extraordinary aspects of the file document dumps as far as the Epstein files,
Right.
specifically spotlighting the pizza references with obviously that's
Right.
hard not to with the 911 total references, but
Yeah.
to conflate, I think they intentionally wanted to conflate the Epstein files with the
Yes.
Pizzagate conspiracy, at the very least, in the minds of the general public, who I think are already very much willing to accept, you know, or unwilling, let's
Right.
say, to accept the pedophile occupied government. And
Right. Well, and
it,
I totally agree with you that they wanted to focus on that. I think it's part of the controlled demolition that they're working with this, which is why we see certain names and not other names. You know, the one person I expected to see or I wanted to see because I know she's in there, somewhere, but we're not going to see it is Oprah, you know?
Oh yeah, right.
Like,
Mhm.
she's somehow nowhere in there, which to me says that this is a controlled demolition, because we got names like Bill Gates, Jay-Z,
Mhm.
you know, like we've got these names that they're willing to sacrifice on the public altar, right? Because whatever their role is in this bigger picture, their roles are done. You know, Jay-Z has ruined culture. Bill Gates has done whatever he needed to with Microsoft, right? Like
Right.
they're done. They can be sacrificed, but we're not going to get the people that are still doing it or
Mhm.
still in the game, you know?
Agreed. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And I think I forgot the ridiculous statistic or the number that I think Oprah's playing, just something like that. There was a statistical revelation of her involvement with Epstein that was
Right.
referenced, and at least referenced in the drops, but it wasn't obviously explored at any detailed level. And yeah, I think that
Right.
very much at least reinforces the idea that this is at least some sort of well-designed limited hangout at a certain level, and I think that's
Agreed.
why you have these particular redactions, you know, that have taken place. And I think whenever you see, obviously, I was mentioning that listener who commented on the show and basically pitched the theory that they're controlling the outcome of the dumps, right? And
Right.
for the very purpose, basically, that his theory was that the DOJ purposely released the documents with previously redacted victim information to accomplish two goals: to intimidate the victims and their families, while simultaneously using the defense attorneys who are calling for the DOJ's site to be removed and taken down in the files as a pretext to basically remove a significant number of additional files, while pointing to those very demands of the victims and their legal counsel as the justification, which I think honestly is perfectly plausible, right, in this
Right.
context, as far as I'm concerned. And if you pair that with the Pizzagate conspiracy in terms of hiding behind the coded language, and I think this is how they very much disguise their limited hangouts. And
Right.
also, while the pedophile code words only really provide, I mean, they don't provide any real fundamental proof of anything other than reinforcing what we, this exclusive group of individuals who are willing to question the permanent establishment, right? It's
Right.
only actually further reinforcing what we already know, and what honestly the vast majority have broadly been conditioned to
Right.
remain unwilling to accept, is essentially where I'm coming from, my perspective, right? And it's just hard not to see it that way at this point, you know, as
Well,
much as
and
it sounds a little
did
bit
you
black pillish.
did you notice the new code word, which is incredibly disturbing to me, but jerky?
Jerky? No, I
Yes.
honestly don't think I did.
Highly recommend anyone, if you're digging through the files, just search jerky and see what comes up, because the emails are incredibly disturbing. It appears as though that Epstein was pretty much eating nothing but human meat. In fact, some of the emails is very interesting, because he's yelling at his jerky supplier, who got sick for a few days, took off, didn't tell anyone. And Jeffrey Epstein was pissed because he says that, quote, you know, I what was it? It's I, quote, pretty much only eat one thing. and and one thing that I thought was interesting too is it was specifically jerky, not beef jerky. There was only
Mhm.
one mention of beef jerky, but the
Hmm.
rest of them is just jerky. And it's clearly a code word, just like looking at pizza, right? Like you
Right.
can tell it's coded language. And so jerky is the exact same way. It was just so disturbing. Like
Interesting.
there were even recipes on
Oh my God.
how to make 2 pounds of jerky.
That's
So
insane, man.
yeah, dude, it's some of the most disturbing stuff ever. And I mean,
Yeah.
dude, they're so flippant about it too. And here's why I believe that like most of this stuff actually is real, is because it is so flippant, you know? And because I actually had somebody ask me, like, do you believe if they're real or whatever? And it's like, yeah, I you know, some of it is fake, sure. And some of it is missing context, you know, because I think part of it is they are releasing it so that they can see if the public is going to act responsible with it or not. And clearly we're not. But you know, like most people that are waking up to this the first time, like imagine going from, you know, football is still cool to watch to holy shit, they're eating babies. You know, like that's that's a huge jump.
Broad leap.
Exactly. Like that's a whole handful of red pills all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And because I mean it took me years to get to the baby eating rabbit hole, you know.
Right.
So
Absolutely. It honestly took the deep dive into Pizzagate for me as much as I had been exposed to prior examples. It was still very much just so disturbing to witness the modern evidence. You know, I think the more recent evidence is what is so stunning and extraordinary, and should be for that matter. You know, and as far as the coded language, I thought these numerous examples of basically whoops being essentially at this point, people are starting to recognize the pattern where Epstein seems to use whoops as a code word.
Yep.
And it surrounds all of these significant and suspicious deaths, right? Where that are obviously being just exposed through the recent drops. And I saw Jake Shields, right? He posted, "Hey Grok, I'm reading the Epstein files, and I just noticed something extremely disturbing. He often responds with whoops after he appears to have raped or had someone killed. Will you look at all the times he said that? Whoops, and tie it to my theory." And so Grok responds and says, "I reviewed recent Epstein file releases via public sources. Whoops appears over 400 times in his messages, often in disturbing contexts. One, responding to Mary Kennedy's 2012 suicide. Whoops. Two, after news of an alleged rape. Whoops. In a permission to kill exchange about a liar. Whoops. On a mother-in-law's death. Whoops." The pattern aligns with your theory, Grok says, of it following violent or fatal events. Though it's circumstantial, more files may reveal additional uses. Then it says, from recent Epstein file analyses and court docs emails, additional whoops instances include, on Robert Maxwell's 1991 death, Epstein emailed, "Whoops," in a thread about mysterious circumstances. In a 2015 email draft, referring to a false story, "Whoops," after mentioning potential harm. 2014 message on a family death, "Whoops," in response to news of an associate's relative passing, apparently. So yeah, these fit the pattern all too well. And it looks like Vanity Fair, Reddit, Wikipedia, you know, they have multiple examples of whoops appearing over 400 plus times, occasionally near casual mentions of pizza, grape soda, and beef jerky, but no clear links or evidence of code words. This is my favorite part. This is Grok's conclusion. These are often speculated in conspiracy contexts, remaining unproven. In Epstein files, grape soda appears in a few emails, like one saying, "Let's go for pizza and grape soda again." No one else can understand. Speculation links it to code for illicit acts, rape, and conspiracy theories, but sources show no evidence, often tied to debunked Pizzagate ideas. It may be literal. That's what, anyway, I had to put the conclusion of Grok.
I think this is kind of interesting. A review by Snopes confirmed that the Justice Department's records do contain references to cannibalism and to allegations of ritualistic violence. The documents, however, do not substantiate the accusations. Instead, they largely reflect unverified claims, many of them drawn from a single unsupported account recorded years earlier, as well as incidental references that have been misread or stripped of context, including one involving food. Yeah, that's not even close to true.
That's so funny.
I find it just interesting. Any opportunity to downplay this at all.
Right. Oh yeah.
Like, just anything to soften the blow, downplay this. And because I mean, this even just said like for one instance. No, dude, there's like 50 or 60 emails talking about jerky, right?
Mhm.
None of them had anything to do with food.
No, not at all. And that's the strange context of it all, obviously, is that
Right.
it is what is really the most evidentiary based in terms of at face value. It's obviously coded language, right?
Oh,
And I think but I mean, Jacob, this is a moral panic, right? Like
Right.
that's
Right.
what
This
they
is
would
just
have us
satanic
believe.
panic.
Yeah, they would have us conclude that essentially the release of the Epstein files, this is how, if you look this up, it's so funny the language they use. The release of the Epstein files has sparked a resurgence of conspiracy theories, often described as a moral panic, where individuals are accused based on tenuous connections to Epstein. This phenomenon reflects a broader trend of fear and speculation surrounding elite corruption and abuse, reminiscent of past moral panics. Now, here's the other part, in chat, you should listen up. Key elements of this current situation involve anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So
Oh,
these Epstein files have, they've fueled anti-Semitic narratives, and some claiming they reveal a Jewish cabal that controls global events. Notable phrases involve synagogue of Satan and references to Goyim, which have been highlighted in discussions, leading to widespread misinterpretation. This is how they package this presentation for the brief and obvious rundown for the general public to consume. And I think it's how you control the low level frequency interpretation of these events. And I think that's a major part of this psyop, honestly, that's being conducted. But I figure we could probably hit an intermission now, and after the fact, I have one last point on Howard Lutnick, and then before we discuss Kurt Cobain's murder, which obviously I think is very interesting that we're seeing confirmation at this point that apparently Kurt also didn't kill himself, and so
Right.
yes, more of what we already knew being reinforced and finally confirmed. But hey, that's a victory at some level, so I'll take
Right.
it. But I think there's only one other major thing that I was hoping to discuss, and that's basically this fascinating reference in the files to the Ninth Circle, Epstein's
Right.
Ninth Circle, and the Steve Bannon correspondence, which led me to discovering not only obviously the strange parallel to the Ninth Gate, directed by Roman Polanski, which we've discussed in the past, and but far more than that. The Ninth Circle is a legitimate international satanic sex sacrificing cult, apparently, that has deep ties to the Vatican, even including a young girl's disappearance and ritualistic satanic murder and rape as well. Her name was Emanuela Orlandi, and she's known as the Vatican Girl. But yeah, anyway.
Well, and that was so the Bannon, that's why I sent you and Jose that video about Epstein. There's that picture of him and Bannon sitting in Harvard having some sort of meeting, which is the craziest thing ever.
Absolutely.
It's just, and I thought that picture was beautiful too, because it is like so nonchalant. Most people are gonna just breeze right past that.
And the complex mathematics and everything
Yeah.
else it's
Dude.
insane. And I mean,
Yeah.
Bannon was always, I read whenever Q was at its height and pinnacle of the PSYOP, I basically read through this very compelling argument that was tying the QAnon psyop around Steve Bannon's neck, and I took it very seriously. I mean, as far
Right.
as how he became responsible for the Trump campaign, and I think that was a major media branding to some extent for at least voter turnout. As much as I don't think it matters, I think it was an effective agenda that they very much are still kind of stringing along at a certain level, and that 4chan connection is very disturbing. And my God, there was an MBS connection, another Mohammed bin Salman connection that were in the recent dumps. And obviously, I think it was part 2. We discussed one of the already relevant MBS connections to Epstein and the Kushner cabal, and the Saudi nexus is what Epstein referred to it as. But yeah, MBS is involved and mentioned again in a conversation that was being apparently arranged between him and Epstein. And then it turns out that there's additional information that's being revealed that apparently the year before the Vegas shooting, Jeffrey Epstein was working with Mohammed bin Salman and involved in the potential purchase of the land surrounding the festival site.
Wow.
I mean, that's too much.
Holy shit.
Right? Yeah, not let alone the 4chan reference just before the Vegas shooting happened.
Right.
It all spread out of 4chan.
Yes, and that's also the rise of Trump too. That's where all that started, was a poll.
Yep.
And so very clearly that whole thing is a psyop. He was never organic, and I mean, we knew that, but it's just a whole thing. Like, all of a sudden, the very same day that they launched the politically incorrect board is the same day that Moot and Jeffrey Epstein meet. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's the exact same day. So all of a sudden they have a meeting, and then the next thing you know, politically incorrect board is launched on 4chan. And then
totally
everything,
convenient.
dude, Pepe comes from it, you know. I mean, the
damn it,
women
that's my spirit animal, bro.
I know, for all of us. It's crazy, dude.
That is so terrible.
One thing I wanted to bring up real quick before we hit intermission is, has everyone seen this website, Jmail?
Yes, I think I did, but I think I bookmarked it and then I didn't go back to it.
Yeah, so jmail.world, for everyone who's curious. This is a website for you to be able to go through and browse the Epstein emails as if it was a Gmail website.
That's so awesome.
So Jmail, jmail.world, jmail.world, and it looks, I mean, just like Gmail, except for you can browse all of them, and they keep updating each version, so they're adding more and more as they keep processing them. So
that's awesome.
This is like an invaluable website for everyone who's curious about this stuff. So
yeah, major. I think it should be everyone's priority to accumulate tools, to, you know, at least reliable tools for navigating this swamp of misinformation, obviously, and see things for yourself, because I think that's where people really, you know, find themselves just lost at sea, you know, and honestly allowing the major media establishment to do their thinking for them. And that's where we find ourselves in this just terrible position and unfortunate. Obviously, just again, it's something that we kind of push back on a weekly basis. But my God, how invaluable are these tools of, you know, obviously seeking and providing the you know, crucial and even source documents that I think more people should obviously expose themselves to. But anyway, I'm ready when you are, my brother.
Right on. Well, on that note, just a quick reminder to everyone that lines still are open, so feel free to call in. But if you call in right now, you're going to have to wait until after intermission. But other than that, I guess go grab a drink, go hit the head, and we will see everybody when they get back.
This is in Indiana. They won't serve us pizza anymore.
How many babies did you say they had that night? They only had one that I had to kill. And then they made me scared. And then after that, they made me get on the table. And then they sodomized me.
And we're back.
We're back, baby. Man, that was legit. Honestly, the edits never fail, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just mentioning Howard Lutnick, honestly, just in the current moment, because he's clearly having some pushback in terms of calling for his resignation, which is some degree of success, and hopefully, obviously, you have to absolutely force through any measure of accountability, and even if it is usually kind of
used and exploited and leveraged as a tool in this very partisan way. I think it still serve some sort of purpose, although I will say that he'll just inevitably be replaced by the next pedophile who is more than likely blackmailed
Right. Every
for
time.
some sinister sexual
Every time.
proclivity. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the crazy thing is to think this is still going on. They didn't stop, There's another Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, there's a whole handful of Jeffrey Epsteins.
Exactly.
Like this is still happening right this second. Even if Jeffrey Epstein was the only one doing this, his clients are still out there. His clients are still being serviced from somebody else.
Yeah.
So
unless you work at the FBI, that's not the case apparently. So
right. Well,
that's
right. Allegedly, that's not the case. But, I mean, not that long ago, there was even a story from the Justice Department that when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, she screwed up a whole bunch of charges that were being brought against a bunch of pedophiles in the State Department. There was like over 500 of them. So, and then, I mean, there's the huge collection of child pornography that the FBI has access to, which constantly gets accessed. And, I don't trust any of those dirty fuckers, and like
there were crazy reports on the number of federal accounts that apparently are routinely accessing child pornography.
Right.
Disturbing. Right.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember them offhand, but holy shit, there is
a lot.
Yeah. Extraordinary
amount.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw with this strange attempted damage control that Lutnick was attempting to perform, obviously. And I saw not only did you have the weird attempt at claiming that I never want to be in the same room as Jeffrey Epstein again. This was in 2005, I think, when he vowed to never step foot in a room with him again. The DOJ release. There is one specific example, and this is honestly, I mean, it's just disgusting and extraordinarily disturbing, but what you see is apparently some correspondence where Howard Lutnick becomes involved, obviously at the lower portion of this email correspondence. But you see, come Saturday or Sunday lunch, Little St. James on the map behind Christman's Cove, and then you have Howard Lutnick responding, "Hi, Jeff. We are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart's Anguilla on Monday at some point. Where are you located? What is the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Marcy Lerman, with me on my boat, and each of us has 4 children. 2 16s, 2 14s, a 13, a 12, and an 11 and a 7-year-old. Thanks, Howard." So this is at the same time, this is in 2012, I believe, where you have this dinner being arranged, and he's basically offering 8 children to meet Jeffrey Epstein, which is absolutely insane in the first place, that you would ever have that occur after in 2005 you swore off ever entering a room with this man because he was so ethically disturbing to you and your wife. Well, now the story has changed, right? And this is Howard Lutnick.
Yeah, of course it has.
This is Howard Lutnick's desperate attempt to convince us otherwise.
He opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room, and candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, "Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage?" And he said,
"Oh yeah, just laugh,
every day." And then he gets weirdly close to me, and he says, "And the right kind of massage."
Oh,
God. Now my
God.
wife is standing here, so she looks at me.
She's standing here, Jacob.
And I look at her, and
he looks at her.
"I'm sorry, we have to go." and we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Okay.
So I was never in the room with him socially.
Look at this lady, man.
Or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back.
He's icky.
Yes. He gave me a gift of a void.
God.
And so, yeah, that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
Wow. One
You
and
know,
absolutely done.
I just don't fucking believe it. You know,
Hell no.
I mean,
that's
all
the
of
point.
the dramatic pauses. I'm just
Right.
like, no.
His hands, right? His little hand movements that he was making. It definitely, he was giving off at least the body language of someone who is attempting to deceive you, I feel like. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
would
I mean,
agree.
I saw Whitney Webb post about claiming that she was on the phone with an Epstein victim, and that basically was talking to her about the recent ruling, and she asked why she had to be in hiding, apparently, while Leslie Wexner and other accomplices walk free. And then she also claimed that the FBI never even offered her any sort of protection. And Whitney says, think about that for a second. And I just, yeah, it's very important to point out the fact that you do have many obvious examples of victims who have had their lives entirely disrupted, and their ability to even engage in public life in general, you know, has just gone out the window in a certain way, and it will take probably, and it will affect them for a lifetime, I would imagine, you know, and that's just very sad, you know, to witness that taking place. But in no way, you know, am I unfortunately surprised at this moment. But I did see there's a strange connection to the victim's legal counsel that I'm trying to find again, because it was fascinating, honestly, and it really made a lot of sense considering like the Pottinger ultimatum and things of that nature, which obviously seemed to at least allude to the notion that some of these defense attorneys are on the take and entirely compromised on behalf of the network to help facilitate the cover up, and that also to even help essentially damage the very self-interest of those victims they're allegedly representing, you know, and so in no way do I think they're honestly pursuing any real level of accountability, unfortunately. But yeah, it was one of the key defense attorneys that was tied up in the files, and I'll just have to discuss it at a later date. But either way, we have Ted Cruz, who's begging us, let's stop attacking pedophiles, he says. Did you see him actually say this? I couldn't believe it. And the context that he actually made this reference was just
do you have
ridiculous.
the video?
Yeah. Let me find it again. It's so funny to actually see him consistently running protection for pedophiles, right? And this guy is so clearly on the take. Yeah, every time. Meanwhile, the new celebrity influence on Capitol Hill is apparently Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's attempting.
Shit.
Yeah, man. He apparently, together with the Center for Countering Digital Hate, this is the best, went to Capitol Hill to lobby for the repeal of Section 230. So you have what was described in quotes as social media leading to a rise in extremism and conspiracy theories. Eliminating internet freedom is the only solution. So they would like to repeal Section 230 because there are too many conspiracies that are causing anti-Semitism.
Right.
So not at all shocked there, but
I mean, come on, 109 countries, and we're expected to believe that they were never the problem.
Like, apparently.
Okay.
Right.
I guess.
Here's our guy Ted Cruz, man, over here running protection for the pedophile occupied government.
Tragically, this pattern keeps on happening. Now, Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
Okay.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, explain yourself, please.
No
that
kidding.
doesn't seem to fit in context with what you were just describing.
Yeah.
It's just that.
One of these things is not like the other.
No, not at all, man. But you pair that with AOC's nipples being revealed on on the floor of the Senate, and man, we can accomplish anything. Obviously, it's apparently what we're supposed to think. It's just I think this new regime of the political puppets that are this younger generation that will be ushered in I think the very near future. Yeah, it's something to keep your eye on, obviously, and I do think AOC is a power player who's being positioned, and unfortunately, as much as she has a lot of pushback, I think she also has a significant amount of support.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's the political theater and the consequences of, and again, just something that we should all be very much concerned about. But as far as the crazy connection that I've been putting off, because it's basically what I wanted to cover most, was this interesting ninth circle reference in the files. And I saw specifically there, obviously the ninth circle is apparently a child sacrificing cult that has connections to the CIA, to the Vatican, to British royal aristocracy like Queen Elizabeth, to the Rothschilds. Right, you have basically just these. It's the usual cabal that it's providing some sort of intersection point or nexus point at a certain level. And so Epstein mentions, and William Ramsey's. By the way, William Ramsey's going to come on the Underclass tomorrow, I think noon Pacific time, and we'll specifically kind of discuss which files were most extraordinary and appealed to him and caught his attention, and I think he's putting together a presentation as well. So it should be
nice.
Definitely should be interesting. And I'm always obviously interested in picking his brain and listening to his thoughts. Right, but
William is absolutely great. Friend of my show as well.
Exactly.
And, I will make sure and be there in the audience for that one, because that's going to be a show to not miss.
Man, yeah, he's one of my favorite dance partners as far as in the business, and you as well, my friend.
We need to get him on Already Dead.
Yeah, we need to have him back for sure. I think that would be a great idea, and everything. I think in any given week we could have him on and have a hell of a show, because there's just considerable context that we could draw upon that would help reinforce so much of what we discuss independently, even, obviously. But so this strange correspondence with Steve Bannon, which clearly Steve Bannon is a pedophilic perpetrator, in my opinion, and I think more than likely is very much sadistic in that way. And so Epstein encourages Bannon to come to him. You will have to come stay 8 to 10 days. If you are going to play here, you'll have to spend time. Europe by remote doesn't work. Lots and lots of FaceTime and hand holding. Then Bannon says, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter." Epstein responds, "Ninth circle."
Oh my. Yeah.
Right? So then we have Bannon forwarding an email from Benjamin Harnwell, who's apparently the founder of and president of the Board of Trustees, Dignitatis Humane Institute, the Christian group that involves Steve Bannon. And so then you have Bannon apparently saying that the European, he's opening the populist fort in Brussels. And William points out Brussels of all places, considering the impact that the Marc Dutroux network had in Belgium, and was specifically headquartered in in Brussels. And so not only do we have this, but then an article finishes with a quote from Bannon, and it says, "Better to reign in hell than to serve in paradise." This is Bannon apparently paraphrasing the Satan of one. This is the Satan of one of his favorite books, John Milton's Lost Paradise, obviously.
Yep.
So hell in this case would be the dear old Europe and its democratic values. The army of darkness is already among us, is another quote. So it's just, to me, after you see, and there are apparently additional references. There's a footer that apparently invokes, it says that in the most sacred heart of Jesus, in the most pure heart of Mary, and the most chaste heart of Joseph. And this is all connecting this institute to the Knights of Malta research that he's basically, drawing upon in this context. But I did find that fascinating, and obviously it sent me reeling down a rabbit hole of my own. And if you have the ninth circle as an obvious reference in the files being given the spotlight, the first initial parallel is Roman Polanski's Ninth Gate, which obviously, if we've discussed this specific film in the past, 1999 is when the film was released. This is an inversion of 1666, and it's a symbolic, intentional at that, as far as the inversion is concerned. And Johnny Depp plays a key role as the main character, and apparently
I was just going to bring that up, that it's Johnny Depp, which is a whole other can of worms.
Right.
Also, John,
buddy.
what's going on, dude?
Yeah, sorry, John, I'm on one, brother.
Oh no, you're fine. I missed you last week, Jacob. My comment on the John Milton thing is, like, I appreciate his work, but so much of like the imagery that we draw from, like, in the evangelical Christian community comes from that and not the Bible. And I could go on for hours on just how much, of that culture slop gets mangled into the current zeitgeist. But, Jesus is in the chat, so I'll back off of that. So, but this whole thing, man, it's got legs, and I don't think it's going anywhere, because, like, they gave us so much of this to dig through, and the pattern recognizers, the schizos, we're catching on to it really, really quick. So, waiting on the next distraction. And I don't think that the powers that be understand how fixated we are on this, and how the strong voices in the space aren't going to be silenced because of, a bomb dropping somewhere else. We can task switch. It's not a problem, but all of the anons and all the accounts that are, steeped in this research, like I said last week, that it's confirmed a lot of the things that we already knew, and then has expounded upon some of the stuff that we suspected and didn't know, and then has given us new little white rabbits to chase.
Right.
And we're going to chase all of those white rabbits, and we're going to find their holes, and we're going to dig. And I don't know that we're going to be silent. And I think Sam was saying that we should be out in the streets, and y'all, didn't you showed some of the stuff from across seas where there's people out there, calling for the king to, lock Andrew up,
Right.
Well, and did you guys happen to see that email? It was between Epstein and shit, I can't remember who else, but there's just so many people he's talking to, but they were discussing specifically the Super Bowl and how the Super Bowl in and of itself is the bread and circuses, and that the Super Bowl halftime show is just nothing but what did they say, like black people in nice cars with white women or something like that.
And
wow, that's hilarious.
It's like they blatantly stated that it is meant to be a distraction.
And I don't know how many people know this, but they, at the beginning of this year, they renewed Rockefeller, whatever Jay-Z's company is. He's the one who books the Super Bowl halftime show. So we'll have 4 more years of the Super Bowl halftime culture slop.
4 more years.
You know, and I don't
years.
And I'm not gonna let that distract me. And anytime somebody brings that up, of course I'm gonna say bread and circuses, you know, because I mean, it's essentially what it is. And the NFL
That's exactly what it is.
And the NFL itself is you know, is marketing itself as a sport, but is licensed as sports entertainment, just like professional wrestling. You know, it just has, you know, it has scripted outcomes. You know, there's plenty of players that have come out and been like, man, I'm disappointed. I got my script for this year and we're only going to get 3 wins, you know?
Right.
So it's all a parapolitical game to keep people distracted from what is actually going on. And the people that aren't engaged in, you know, seeking the truth are going to be easily distracted by the wrong rabbit, should I say, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's intentional for sure. But I do think that so much of what has been essentially reinforced, at least in the minds of as you put it, the schizos and the already deadheads, I guess we could say, it's extraordinarily valuable, and it's vital that we take the time to obviously highlight and prop up the unfortunate reality in ways that doesn't seem to be effectively happening around us as often as it should be. You know, I think is something that is I take pride in a way, because I do think there's a lot that we're willing to discuss that so many others view as taboo, or they're not quite willing to go there and even consider as a potential plausible reality. But yeah, I do find the level of connection to the ninth circle and the ninth gate to be fascinating. And I don't in any way, and by the way, that was the name of the film, just for anyone. I saw someone question in the chat. It's called The Ninth Gate by Roman Polanski, and was based on the novel The Club du Mas, I believe, by like Arturo Perez Reverte or something, I think is the author. But anyway, the character that Johnny Depp plays is called Dean Corso, and he's basically this strange book collector and appraiser, and he is hired to authenticate this mysterious grimoire, right? And it's called The Ninth Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows. And so yeah, anyway, you have essentially the individual who hires him is attempting to retrieve all 3 copies, 3 of the last remaining and surviving copies, basically, of the authentic books that can be utilized to summon the devil in a satanic ritual, is basically what you come to find. And so, and I think, you know, clearly the occult symbolism involved, the whore of Babylon in the flesh, you know, as a character, and they have a legitimate satanic sex ritual as well, and an initiation occurs, obviously, where it becomes this allegorical ritual in and of itself. And you have essentially the notion is that this film in itself, in the production of it at every level, was an actual initiatory practice and ritual in itself. And so this was not only making a very, let's just say, Hollywood styled, reflection of the turning of the century and the age of the of Aquarius, and this interesting, it obviously is hard to not acknowledge the fact that it seems to be paired perfectly and seamlessly with the birth of a new era, and so that in itself, understanding the satanic and neo-pagan context to what they hope to achieve, as far as orchestrating their vision and seamlessly entrenching it systematically into modern society. It's very much being a success, just as far as they're succeeding in that agenda, in my opinion. And so not only was there a sort of prophecy involved in terms of Rosemary's Baby and the connections to that of Roman Polanski, which I think is fascinating as well. But yeah, just as far as I think so much of Rosemary's Baby just connects to me directly into MK Ultra and the Charles Manson murders, obviously, that took place, and Sharon Tate and everything else. But yeah, I do think after watching the film, I did feel as if I took part. I participated in some strange occult ritual of some kind, and obviously the 9 circles of hell, I believe, is what Johnny Depp's character Dean Corso was supposed to experience throughout the plot line. And so he engages in all of these various, essentially the 9 stages of Dante's Inferno, right? Is basically what he's engaging in, which again, it's all these various greed, lust, essentially just the more core and vital, sinful, you know what I mean? It's just so obviously a part of evoking that very energy, that satanic energy that apparently is involved with, so much of what the plot was attempting to essentially, just as far as like it, no doubt had an occult agenda attached to the plot, which is just unmistakable at a certain point whenever you're watching the film. But there's a mysterious castle in France that is basically, they symbolize all throughout the film as well, and even in the do we have a call, Jacob? Is that what you were saying?
Yes,
All
we
right,
do. Let's see. We have a caller right now. Kind of an interesting situation going on in the chat right now. So,
is it Jesus?
Caller, do you want to let everyone know what's going on?
Yeah, right now you guys are being raided by a satanic devil worshiper known as Ghost Politics. He doesn't like me because I'm a Christian, and he really is.
Well, he ain't gonna like me.
He doesn't like Christians very much. He simps hardcore over my ex who calls into his show. He's got like this army of mentally challenged people who give him money, and he scams them all night long, and they just keep spending money on him.
Interesting.
Well, have one of them call in. Let's have a chat about it.
No, I'm good. I would rather not platform the retards. I'm good.
Okay. I'm always down for tearing the Satanist apart.
They're demonic people.
Oh, well, I will lead them to the Lord. Bring them my way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a former Satanist. So,
but back to the film you were referencing. Sounds like 8mm on steroids. I'm gonna have
hold
to.
on, John. You got anything else, caller?
No, just praise be to Jesus Christ forever.
Awesome.
Yeah,
brother.
Christ is King.
Appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, good night, guys.
You as well,
too, brother.
As far as I'm concerned, for us believers, we are all children of the Most High God. Not saying that there aren't little G gods, but we are children of the Most High God, El Elyon, the Most High God. Our God is greater. So, just so you guys know, You guys can have your Lucifer. You can have your morning star. We have the Most High. I'll have to check out that film. You know, it sounds like 8mm on steroids.
Man, I'm telling you, man. It has they have the number 6 basically. It's so
every
symbolic.
scene.
Oh yeah, it's honestly it's 666 is in so much of the film in itself, but they also, as I mentioned, they basically, beyond searching for the satanic grimoire, they're basically, the book was written in 1666 as well. And so the movie being released in 1999, as I mentioned, is the numerological reversal of 1666. And so it was apparently just as far as the symbolic significance of the occult involved with this. And so you also have Polanski making this film and basically getting the movie public and released during the time that he was basically a fugitive for the potential rape of a 13-year-old girl after he drugged her, which I think legitimately did obviously occur. But it gets into each of the 9 circles of Dante's Inferno, the 9 circles of hell, which are limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. And this is all what Johnny Depp's character engages in. And beyond that, it seems like I think the specific access code to the private collection that the individual who hired Johnny Depp's character was the 666 connection to actually accessing it, which I found interesting. And his most prized possession was that of the 9 gates of the Kingdom of Shadows. And the cover in itself is adorned with an inverted pentagram, which obviously later on, Balkan explains himself. They form a satanic riddle, correctly interpreted with the aid of the original text and sufficient insider information. They're reputed to conjure up the Prince of Darkness in person. And so that is why they're attempting to retrieve each of the 3 copies, the original copies, for that very purpose. So then I look up, and obviously I think it's important to...
Austin, we got another caller.
All right, brother, let's do it.
We've got Ryan on the line. So, Ryan, I'm just unmuting you. Go ahead.
Welcome, Ryan.
Hello, my name's Ryan. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I'm here to call about ghost politics. The Schofield, that gentleman that called earlier, referenced ghost politics. Now, ghost politics, he's an evil man. He runs a satanic sex cult outside of a business chain called Fred's Fish Fry. Now, if you don't know, Fred's Fish Fry is connected to Jeffrey Epstein.
Holy shit, man. Don't say it ain't so, brother.
I didn't see that one coming.
And he's an evil man. He has killed and eaten children. He's deep fried them and sucked the meat right off their bones. And, he scams his fans too. You donate to him and he promises and he just takes the money and run. And I should know I gave him every goddamn cent I ever had. I gave him $50,000 in my wife's life insurance after she had that accident with my shotgun, but that's a different story.
Oh my God, come on now. What is this, bro? Come on.
Accidents with shotguns leads us right into the Courtney.
Yeah, this
Courtney Love
right here.
The Courtney Love
taking us for a ride, Jacob.
Yeah, let's just Let's just find out what side did the cartridge eject on your wife's shotgun incident.
Yeah, for real though. My God. Hey,
all right.
We have to wade through the cesspool. It looks
I love ghost politics. Let's
Do
talk
you?
more about.
Hold on a sec. Let's
talk more shit about stuff that doesn't exist.
Like a bunch of people fucking crashed the lines, so I got to go restart everything real quick. So
Wonderful.
Give me just one sec. Yeah.
All right. Hey, we are acknowledging the chat, people. All is well. Just say something wonderful about us and we'll put it up on the screen. No, but the only reason
let's charge for call-ins now. Since since we have such a high demand, if you would like to get on, you just have to go ahead and donate $4.44. All right? So we need a $4.44 super chat to Jose or Already Dead.
That's right. Or the Underclass podcast, right?
The Underclass podcast.
Let the grifting begin. No, but I do think there's a direct parallel, and the reason why I described the just more the crucial details of the Ninth Gate, the Polanski film, is because of those Ninth Circle references. And it turns out, as I stumbled down the rabbit hole, I discovered that there was an international court set to investigate Pope Leo's complicity in the ritual murder of children and the disappearance of an individual girl by the name of Emanuela Orlandi. And so it looks like, as far as eyewitnesses, we're claiming to have seen Leo Robert Prevost at Ninth Circle sacrificial ceremonies as early as September 1978. So as I looked through this, I found, first of all, it's disturbing to see the photos of the young girl who was disappeared and ritualistically murdered in this satanic ceremony. But the court essentially prosecuted Pope Benedict. This is involved. This happened apparently. So you have Rome and Brussels playing a geographical role in this case, and basically you have the Pope Benedict was forced from office. And there was a criminal lawsuit that was effectively launched, and so Pope Leo and Robert Prevost, obviously is the name, charged him with complicity in murder, criminal conspiracy, and crimes against humanity. And so the case against the Bishop of Rome was based on evidence linking him to the ritual rape and murder of children as a newly ordained priest. And so the torture and disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi is directly connected to this case. And apparently this happened on the summer solstice of 1983. So again, an occult ritualistic holiday of some kind. But do you have another call, brother, or what? You're just
No. Lines are back open though. So any one of these trolls want to come back or call back in, go for it. Not guarantee that you're going to be able to stay on the line because, we reserve the right to hang the fuck up on anyone we want. But
unless you're
call in.
Unless you're complaining about nigger towers in the chat. If you're complaining about nigger towers in the chat, we will discuss the First Amendment with you.
We'll have deep, substantial dialogue for sure.
What was this guy's name again? Ghost what?
Who gives a like?
Well, no. I need the name.
Oh,
right. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah,
We'll look it up later. But but this case is fascinating, man. And there are all these different connections. One of which being this sex ring being tied in by various witnesses, and then seemingly and even a serial killer connection, which obviously you have apparently Emanuela Orlandi was a Vatican teenager. She was in some musical organization of some kind.
You found this white rabbit in the Epstein files?
Yeah. So basically it was the immediate reference between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein, as they said, the Ninth Circle, in regard to this very strange context, which seemingly implicated child sex abuse in a way, right? And so it's interesting to see that she mysteriously disappears on that summer solstice, obviously in June of '83, and this was after she's returning home. While returning home, apparently, from music school in Rome. And so, obviously, with the Pope being involved, this case gained worldwide attention and became very, very prominent in the media for a short time. But anyway, there was some attempt at getting her released by apparently
dealing with and negotiating with some sort of terrorist organization that claimed to have kidnapped and have been holding the girl in exchange for liberation of some Turkish terrorist apparently, who had attempted to assassinate the Pope 2 years prior to this. But then it later turns out that this isn't the case, and essentially this was an intelligence-based false narrative that entirely stemmed from an attempted cover-up. And it looks like you have two judicial investigations that took place. You have 83 to 97, and then the second between 2008 to 2015.
Were those from Vatican City or were those from Rome?
Yeah, from Rome, it looks like, but Vatican City had the domain, so they basically took jurisdiction, and that's where the investigation was conducted through Vatican City, and you had a major influence, obviously, from the Vatican itself in terms of the investigation, and they were tasked with investigating themselves, so clearly nothing came of this, and no solution was found, and obviously the conclusion was a cold case. And so it was reopened in 2023 by Vatican magistrates and the Rome prosecutor's office. And apparently this went to a parliamentary commission and became the subject of 3 investigations simultaneously taking place. And so 4 decades, the case was essentially just being discussed and reopened and investigated in various ways, but typically just covered up in every sense of the word. But you have allegations of organized crime connections, the role of a possible serial killer, as I mentioned. Apparently, there was a sex scandal that involved ecclesiastical figures, is what they're described as. And Orlandi's family, in particular her brother, have consistently attempted to bring forward a lot of different evidence that apparently implicates the Vatican for holding back information on the case and things of that nature, but which is more, in more ways than one, basically been acknowledged and admitted to at this point. But again, it's as you look through this, and there's an allegation according to a court prosecutor, and this is fascinating as hell because what they claim happened is that investigators with the International Common Law Court of Justice interviewed a former participant in something called the Ninth Circle cult, as well as a victim survivor of these very satanic rituals. And both claim to have witnessed that Robert Prevost participated directly in the killing of children as part of his induction into the cult. And then you have witnesses stating on the record that Prevost was also present at the rape, torture, and subsequent disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi on June 22nd, 1983, specifically in a chamber beneath the Vatican is the location that is described. So the court claims to have obtained corroborating Vatican archival evidence consisting of a log of the details of all Ninth Circle ceremonies held in Rome since 1870. The record confirms Prevost's presence at these events in September 78 and in June of 83. So according to the court prosecutor, apparently the new Pope Leo, Robert Prevost, was inducted into the Ninth Circle soon after his ordination as a priest in September 78, the same month that the former Pope John Paul was murdered in the Vatican. Prevost's induction into the cult occurred at midnight on October 16, 1978 in a sub-basement catacomb beneath the Vatican. During that initiation, the newly appointed Pope John Paul II presided at the ritual killing, dismembering, and cannibalizing of a 4-year-old Italian boy. Prevost was, yeah, man. I'm telling you, I did not realize this would go so as far as this rabbit hole would essentially have me fall so deep in a certain sense, and especially with the direct reference point to that of the Epstein files, as I mentioned. And I think just realizing that you have, abandon hope, all ye who enter, and then Steve Bannon says, and then Epstein responds, ninth circle. That's all he responds. And so
I don't think people realize when I say that the Epstein files or Epstein is the Rosetta Stone of the conspiracy paradigm in modernity. I don't think they realize what that actually means, because it's all in there, and it's just going to take us a little while to parse through it. And you know, like as we get our hands on more and more of this stuff, the pattern recognizers, you know, the schizos are gonna see it. And you know, I know how far it goes back, and you know, it's just over.
Good job, Jacob.
I didn't see
Satan
what
is
it,
gay.
yeah.
Satan is gay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll agree with that. But there's so much in there that we've yet to parse through, and these little white rabbits are gonna pop up, and the people that kind of know what they're looking for are gonna chase them down the rabbit holes. And what did AG Bondi was like, you know, this was gonna, I'm gonna paraphrase, this is gonna like burn our whole system down, and people are cheering for it. Yes, I would like that.
Right.
I would like that. And then, like, was it you who referenced the whoops in the files?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then Jake had tweeted something out. Why don't we whoops all of the people involved?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what do the steps to that look like? And I laid them out because this is literally going to be a righteous crusade. In the fact that it's going to take, you know, strong men of principles to stand up and say, we're not about this. This doesn't represent us. This doesn't represent our values. This doesn't represent, you know, our country. You know, Jacob's got a flag right behind him. You know, I'm sure that's carryover from the Patriot days, but he's also flying the black. You know, at some point,
hell yeah.
You know, at some point, you know, we may have to fly the black. You know, and
the black flag is alive and well in my heart. I'll tell you that right now, and that's what we have to maintain is our core principles, to the point of just a revolutionary mindset. You know, and as much as, you know, what do you accomplish with going out in some emotional outrage and reactionary state caused by the permanent establishment, and then decide to burn down your own community as some sort of solution? Yeah, I think you're being led by the nose and essentially efficiently pursuing your own worst interest. And I think that is all designed perfectly by people who are acting deliberately in bad faith. And then that's why all of this deception is essentially by design. And we can have such prominent members of the permanent global establishment, such as the fucking Pope, being initiated into a satanic child sex trafficking sacrificial ring that is global and very well established.
But to my catechism Christian brothers, don't worry, our Pope now is American. All right. So our American Pope is good. All right. We'll just appease you guys with that.
Yeah. We can see my problem is the institutions are obviously corrupt, and I think that systematically that agenda has been so very well entrenched that we're dealing with that very same. Here, the issue lies in the fact that they want to exploit essentially they want to, for one, provoke the individuals within the general public to demand a restructuring of a core restructuring of the institutions in general. And then from there, the essential, let's just say the rise of the new age and just
coming into form from the ashes, rising as like a phoenix, is essentially what will come out of that in a certain way, is what I think will inevitably take place. And I hope that isn't the case, right? And so I don't know, man, but when you read over such disturbing details of these, sacrificing and cannibalizing a 4-year-old Italian boy in the catacombs of the Vatican, and that he was also that very Pope being, allegedly present in June, that very summer solstice in '83, when Orlandi, I think her last name was kidnapped by allegedly Vatican agents, raped and tortured by Ninth Circle members, and then taken to Germany to be sexually trafficked and possibly sacrificed. So that's legitimate witnesses that are going on the record claiming this is the inevitable result of what took place with this young girl. And as they say, like every Roman pontiff, Robert Prevost was chosen as Pope from a select stable of Ninth Circle members who have been groomed by the cult for years and have proved their loyalty in its carnage. That is the quote. So it's hard for me to imagine that every Pope hasn't effectively been compromised at some level, and that goes for presidents as well, and any heads of state or leaders of institutions in the current moment. We don't call it pedophile occupied government for no reason, right? And so, yeah, that's my ultimate concern, is that so many people are just waiting for their ideological preference to gain power in DC so they can leverage that against their political enemies and who they believe to be obviously their ideological opposition, when in reality they're fighting against their own best interest as always. And we're at each other's throats defending these very well-initiated political puppets on behalf of the power cabal that are just, being pulled by the string, in a very efficient way. But anyway, that's just my ultimate concern. So
Yeah, I mean, we need people like you and that Austinism to chase some of these rabbits, and people like Jacob to keep the fire burning,
Right.
And I'm a reasonable man, but when it becomes time to do unreasonable things,
I hear that, and
You know who to
I agree
call.
with that.
But
Right.
we have
that,
we
do you
have
have anything to wrap up on, John?
No, I know you guys need to bring it in for a landing, but no, my thing is just, be well grounded in your principles, and when you're well grounded in your principles, and I think everybody that's listening knows where my principles are grounded in, your decision making or your discernment is going to be at a higher level than the people that are just sharing the slop. Just avoid the slop, stay factual, and let your principles guide you, and you'll find yourself in good hands.
Yeah, I agree, brother. I love you, John. I appreciate you as always, man.
No, I love you. I love you, Jacob. I appreciate you guys. I do want to mention Shy definitely did shout out, instead of the Super Bowl, the superb owl. So we know which little G God they serve, and I would just like to say that I represent El Elyon, the Most High God. So, Yod, if you're listening, you know who I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. Yeah, love you too, brother, and always good talking to you. So I will see you on the backside.
Yeah, see you guys on the backside.
Later, brother. So do you want to maybe end things with one last thing, being the obvious suicide, which is now a homicide of Kurt Cobain, because it looks like we have shocking new private forensic findings that question the suicide ruling and seem to point to the notion that
Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. So
Right.
I'm curious, what are your opinions on that case specifically? Because it was always one of those that just at my origin point in the conspiracy world, it was one of my starting points. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it just
Right.
instantly, just because of the, I did appreciate grunge music actually, in a way, but I do think Nirvana was not exactly that, and definitely pivoted away. But anyway, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because I saw you posting earlier about potential candidates for perpetrators involved. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So my personal opinion is that Kurt Cobain's one of his longtime friends. Honestly, I don't know how you could even call them friends, only because they were more like drug friends than anything. But his name's Dylan Carlson, and he's a lead singer and lead guitar player for a band called Earth. And they're like a doom metal, stoner metal band, which I don't know. You start looking into Dylan Carlson, and man, there's a lot of like process connections, but Dylan Carlson was one of the people that was there the night that Kurt Cobain expired, I guess.
Right.
And so Dylan Carlson, and then there was another man. Let's see, what was his name? Mark Langan. Both of these two were seen shoving Kurt Cobain. So one of the last people to see him alive, they were all like downstairs in the basement of the house. And Dylan Carlson and Mark Langan were the last two people seen with him alive. And they were seen, they gave him a shot of dope, and then they were trying to get him to do more. Like he was already like beyond fucked up. But they were trying to get him to actually do more. And they were seen shoving him up the stairs to go upstairs. And those were the last two people to see him alive, basically.
Wow. That's so crazy.
So, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into this, obviously.
Right.
But it does seem highly likely that either these two are responsible, or they know who is responsible. So it's all kind of interesting. There are, in fact, let me see if I can find it while we're wrapping this up. But there's an interview with one of the other people there that night. And one thing I want to point out is Dylan Carlson and Mark Langan were both paid by Courtney for like years and years, just checks. They were just given checks from Courtney Love.
The MK Ultra sex kitten, Courtney
yes.
Love? Is that the one?
Yeah, that same one, who, just so happened to, pick Kurt, for some weird reason. It's just kind of odd, but she was paying them for like years.
Wow.
For no reason,
Right.
just that's weird, just giving some friends, a bunch of money every single month for
Right.
years, starting right after Kurt Cobain's death. That's fucking odd.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe money to stay silent in a way, perhaps,
Right. Or
even worse,
paying them for a deed they did.
Exactly. And I always thought the PI that she hired, obviously, who goes to obviously conduct his investigation, and then comes back with the notion that he believed Courtney was directly involved in ordering his murder. And I just thought, of course, man. Like you see, I think it was Power Mapping, that account on Twitter that is usually on the right course in terms of a lot of this, just investigating and attempting to remain objective. And he's a little bit too leftist, in my opinion, ideologically, but many are. But he did say that Courtney Love's name was circled by Alfredo Rodriguez in the Black Book when he was interviewed by the FBI, and he indicated that she, Courtney Love, Trump, and Alan Dershowitz were people either involved with or in the know regarding Epstein's sex trafficking ring that doesn't exist according to the FBI. So if you consider that, and then who is Alfredo Rodriguez? Obviously Epstein's butler, who you look into his background just a little bit. He had intimate knowledge of Epstein's activities and was aware of the controversial nature of his employer's lifestyle. The Little Black Book. Rodriguez is known for attempting to sell. This document contained over 1,500 names, phone numbers, addresses of Epstein's contacts to a sex ring that didn't exist. And it's just like, on his face, I can't believe this is what we're dealing with. So this book was first revealed in 2009, obviously, through Nick Bryant's phenomenal work. And when Alfredo Rodriguez tried to sell this to lawyers representing Epstein's victims, he described it as a holy grail of connections among the elite. So, when he's claiming during his testimony that he witnessed inappropriate behavior at Epstein's properties, including the presence of underage girls, he alleged he saw child pornography on Epstein's computer. His actions, including the attempt to sell the book, were obviously kind of framed as self-preservation, which I thought was, of course they would be. I'm sure at a certain level that's true. I mean, but at the same time, it's like what he claimed he feared most was that Epstein might have him disappeared. So, whoops.
Whoops.
Exactly.
No kidding. So all of this stuff, in fact, I will actually be covering a lot of Kurt Cobain stuff. So this is actually something I've been wanting to cover on my channel for a while. And since it's in the news, it kind of seems like it's a good time to just go ahead and take the plunge. But
absolutely,
I have tons and tons of research already done. So I'll probably start next week. But there's all sorts of stuff. Like, for instance, Kurt's alleged overdose in Rome. He didn't have heroin in his system.
Yeah, I remember that too.
he had Rohypnol in his system.
No.
Yes.
Now, why would Courtney do something like that?
Oh, Courtney Love, the one that had a prescription for Rohypnol.
Yeah, no way, man.
In Rome. That one?
But her dad, man. There's no way he would let her get away with that. He's a CIA agent, right?
But those two are estranged. So
okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's had a recognition. My bad.
Her dad, her bio dad, who has connections to the Grateful Dead and all sorts of other people, her bio dad fucking hates her.
I wonder why. Yeah, I would hate her too.
Fucking hates this woman. And many people, and in fact, Frances Bean, Kurt's daughter, absolutely can't stand her mom. Although this is kind of cool, Frances Bean is married to Tony Hawk's son. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
Man, in celebrity industrial complex, man.
Right. But it is kind of interesting because both of them do stay out of the limelight. So, and Frances has never been like a, ooh, look at me kind of a person. She actually fucking hates it. So, who knows exactly what that means. But I mean, my position is that Kurt Cobain was not suicidal at all. He wasn't depressed. He was actually trying to get divorced from Courtney. He was in the middle of renegotiating his contracts for all of his music contracts. And there was a message sent to their lawyer, Kurt and Courtney's lawyer, just right before he died, that he wanted to remove her from his will.
Wow, of course.
So, and then, just so happens to be that he winds up dead, it's
And that's very convenient for Courtney.
kind of weird, right? And then, there's all the extra weird stuff, like the fact that he had far too much heroin in his system to actually be able to do anything, let alone
couldn't
hold a
physically.
shotgun.
Yeah,
Right.
I always read that as well. Was that the level of heroin that was allegedly in his system would have rendered him unable physically to even conduct that shooting with the shotty, which makes no sense in the first place.
And
But he
then
would have had to pull it with his toe or some dumb shit. It's like, come on, man.
The shotgun is so long, he wouldn't have been able to do it. Like he would have barely been able to reach with his arms. But once again, he had like 3 times the lethal dose of heroin in his system at the time. The shotgun shell was on the wrong side from where the shell ejected out of the gun itself.
Right.
Like, dude, there's just so many problems. There's not a single issue, or not a single like clear indication that he did this. In fact, I think that okay, so here's another thing. There was no blood splatter anywhere. How does that work? Unless he's already dead.
Oh, hey, good call, man.
Because if he's already dead, the blood's not pumping, there's not going to be blood splatter.
Man, that was very good use of a callback there for already dead, my friend. But yeah, I agree. I think that there's no way, if you look at any of the evidence in terms of even the crime scene of his alleged suicide, that you can walk away honestly thinking that he killed himself. And I mean, you pair.
There's no possible way he did.
No, I can't. There's not a world that I could imagine where that was the case. But I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on anything, brother, before we get out of here?
Yeah. First and foremost, regarding anyone who denies satanic panic, I fucking told you so.
Yeah, exactly right.
One thing, so I did a show with JJ and Dana recently. It was this past Friday. And I really do feel as though people like you, me, and Jose and stuff, like I swear to God, we're like the Blues Brothers, because like we're on a mission from God, spreading this information, dude, because I feel as though we are on a precipice of a new wave of occult crime and teenagers getting into the occult, just like back in the 80s. But it's going to be like a new age version of it, because we already see new satanic panic propaganda coming down like hard. And why are they pushing the propaganda again? The witch hunt, satanic panic, QAnon, Pizzagate. Like, why are they pushing this unless we have a new wave of occult and cult crime, satanic crime coming down the pipeline? I think that's the logical next step to all of this. And I'm right here ready to expose all of this. This is why I'm doing the Satanic Panic is Real series on my channel. This is why I'm having conversations with you and Jose about it. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. I'm just preparing is pretty much it. And honestly, we've got this pretty cool thing going on, you, me, and Jose. We're like, I had somebody in my chat the other day call us the trifecta of conspiracy channels.
That's awesome.
And I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, we should do a shirt. We should do a t-shirt or something.
I'm in.
Because
yeah, we
dude,
we
it's
honestly should at
perfect.
some point talk about I don't know, a model or a structure where we could collaborate on merch or something, because I do think it would probably be more feasible, but I don't know.
Right.
We can discuss that later, but yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And I do think that's there's no better time than now to cast a light into the darkness. And man, this is what, because I find this just content creation with people that I trust in a way as the most intimate form of a bond that you know, is
100%.
essentially just being cultivated over time. And so, as I say probably too often, I love you, man, and I'm very much grateful for for all of these opportunities. And I think the more we attempt to help each other grow in the right direction, the better off we all are. So, you know,
100%. Love
I
you too,
mean that.
brother.
Thank you, brother. And yeah, there's one thing that came to mind just as far as, you know, the sentiment, the closing sentiment in regards to all of this, and it brings me back to how I described the Detroit affair, and it just emotionally, it really it evoked this very specific, dreadful, and disturbing reaction in me to my core when I very much fell down that proverbial rabbit hole into the depths of the darkness, and then crawled out, realizing I would never be the same. And essentially, the way I put it was, how long can we stand idly by while the true intentions of our ruling class remain beyond the veil of public scrutiny? Endless examples of the deliberate demise of our social ethics, intentionally unraveling the moral fabric and placing us on a path to complete societal collapse. False narratives consistently disseminated through the hidden hand of clandestine operators designed to conceal the very existence of the deep state. What freedom are we to find when we are enslaved under the chains of human trafficking? How do we finally expose and eradicate these depraved patterns of behavior inherently perpetuating this sadistic cycle of abuse? And I think nothing's more relevant in this very current moment we find ourselves in, and the pedophile occupied government remains insulated from any sort of real honest accountability. And the Epstein files provides us with another glimpse, right, of what lies beneath. You know, as I also described the Detroit affair, you know, as we stumble upon a window into the shadowy global elite, shedding light on the undeniable exploitation of the most vulnerable among us. So,
right,
that's what they are protecting, and at this very moment, they are facilitating an effective and efficient cover-up on behalf of this power cabal, very well insulated. So the
Yeah.
more we try and focus on this and prop up the legitimate reality in context with just evidentiary links to so much of what should be publicly accepted and embraced as the true nature of power, is something I'm so proud of that we can do, you know, in this very moment, and also, you know, collaborate and do together. So nothing but love, brother, and nothing but love for everyone here as well. So we will definitely
Indeed.
be back next week. Send love and prayers to Jose. Hopefully all is well. I think he'll be fine, but definitely check in tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time for sure. Me and William will probably go off on some more Epstein, God forbid. So
Yeah, and I've got my Satanic Panic is Real show tomorrow evening, which is going to be at 5:30 p.m. Mountain, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And since Kurt Cobain is in the news, I'll be dropping a bunch of my research on my X, Instagram, Telegram, all that stuff, and I'll probably be doing a show this Friday with it. You can pretty much catch me anywhere at Rise to Liberty, or you can catch me at Beware the Mockingbird over on Substack. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Awesome, brother. And you guys already know you can find me at the Underclass Podcast. Definitely check out episode 44 of whatever this is, because we when we weren't spending our time reading Bad Bunny lyrics, we were railing. Yeah, it was so funny though, honestly. and that one viral video of that guy who's translating with the exact like it was so funny, man. Like it honestly was a great video, but yeah, it goes to show why there wasn't an active translation in the very moment during the Super Bowl halftime show, because
no kidding.
God forbid you knew what the fuck you were dancing to. It's so terrible. And now this man's become like some sort of pride of Puerto Rico. My wife's Puerto Rican and she was so pissed, dude. Like just the reflection, you know, on her identity in a way. And also being the public.
I would be pissed.
Right. How could you not be, man? And I mean, honestly, as soon as you had the homoerotic men grinding on each other, I was like, this is the perfect moment. I think the only thing we could take away from it, what was the message? Hold on. I wrote it down. The ultimate message that was standing behind Bad Bunny during the performance, especially at the end, was the only thing more powerful than hate is love. So apparently after they were talking about like pushing in my ass or whatever the fuck they were saying, they were actually saying, you know, we should all be overwhelmingly inspired after that performance, because obviously we all just need to come together in love, and and the world will solve its own problems. Right?
Right.
So
love is love, Austin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in reality, the message should have been the only thing more powerful than hate is sex, because that was basically what we were saying.
Right.
But
No kidding.
anyway, all right, nothing but love, you guys. We're gonna end it here, and for sure check out all our upcoming work, and have a great evening. Honestly, I appreciate you all.
See you guys.